Hi, I'm Janine, and this is Vlogmas for December 31st, 2019. It's the end of the year, which means we sit back and we take stock of what we did all year. And then we wipe the slate clean and move on to the next year. Or at least that's what I do. So I sat down this week and looked at what I had made in 2019. And I was a lot more productive than I thought I was. And I think that's mostly because I did a lot of sewing earlier in the year, like in the spring, winter and spring. And then I slowed down for whatever reason in the fall. I have an idea why, just because of other things that are going on in life. But I did a lot of sewing at the beginning of the year and some at the end of the year. And I wound up the year as good as I can recall. I made 31 garments. And I'm not going to go through all of them here. Most of the patterns I used are independents. I think of the 31 garments I made, only 12 of the patterns used were the big 4/5/1, whatever it is, and everything else was indies. Interestingly, if I make something once and I like it, I make it again. So I made 3 versions of the Sew House 7 toaster sweater, 2 versions last winter, 1 last week. I made 3 versions of the closet case Kalle, and I made 2 versions of a simplicity dress that I really liked. So if I find something, I tend to want to go back and make it again right away. And I think part of that is you remember the steps that you took, so it's really easy to just dive right in. And you also remember what adjustments you wanted to make. I used to be a lot better about writing down all of the adjustments that I did, and I have not done that as well in the last year and a half. So it's harder to go back and look at patterns. The fabrics that I used, the vast majority of my fabric comes from Fabric Mart. Out of 31 projects, let's see here, 15 of them used fabric from Fabric Mart. The rest was a mix of mostly small retailers. Didn't get anything from fabric.com this year. Only got fabric for 3 projects at Joann's. Everything else was small retailers, which I think is kind of a nice balance because you think about it, Fabric Mart is a small retailer. It's an independent retailer. They've got a broad reach, but then I tend to pick up fabric at little stores too. Some here in the States, some in Canada, and some in the UK. And the fabric is different everywhere too. So what I thought I would do today is show you my favorite makes of the year. This is not going to be a super long video, but it will be more than 5 minutes today. So I'm going to do that today, and then tomorrow or maybe the 2nd or 3rd, I'll talk about my plans for 2020. I have to go back to work on January 2nd, unfortunately. Sigh, which means I won't have daytime to record video. But without further ado, my favorite makes of this past year in no particular order. So I'm just going to quickly go through my favorite makes and why they're my favorites. And these are in no particular order. The Sew House 7 toaster sweater. This is the first version that I made, and I used a speckled double knit from Fabric Mart. Why I like this pattern. It's fast to put together, can be made completely on the overlocker, and it's completely a current style. I was looking in some ready-to-wear stores last weekend, and of course they all have turtlenecks. Well, I can make my own turtleneck in about as much time as it takes me to drive to the store, try on things, and come home. You know, this is a couple of hour project. So I really like this pattern, and I'll keep using it. The closet case Kalle. This is the first version I made. And I used a border print fabric from Hobby Lobby. I wore this to death. I've worn this everywhere in multiple countries, multiple continents. I wore this to work an awful lot of Fridays with white cropped pants, and my boss, every time I wore this, would say, "Makes me think of Italy," because I think and I'll say to him, "You're thinking of limoncello." This was the first version I made. Then I made another version in a cotton and steel rayon, and a third version in a bird's eye piqué, white piqué. That was the least successful version because it doesn't drape the same way. But this is a really great pattern. Everybody who posts it online says how much they love it, and I do agree. I don't know if I'll be making another one soon just because I've got 3 in my closet, but it's an excellent pattern and I really love this shirt. Another one of the patterns where I make it once and I immediately make it again. This is a Simplicity t-shirt dress pattern, and I initially made it out of this ITY from Olga's Fabric Lane in Calgary. Love it, love it, love it, love it, because I didn't have to do any alterations to the pattern and it just skims my body. It's not too tight anywhere. It's a great shape. I'm looking and seeing that I need to redo the cover stitch on the bottom. But why I especially love this one is because when I go away for a weekend, I can just pack this like that and the next day pull it out of the suitcase and it's perfect. And it weighs nothing. So the perfect travel knit dress. And I liked it so much, I made another one pretty quickly afterwards. This is a different ITY, more a traditional ITY from Fabric Mart. And for this one, because the fabric's a little bit heavier, I made elbow length sleeves. And I wear this to work primarily in cooler weather with tights and with boots. Easy dressing. This is one of the few woven garments I've made recently that I'm happy with. And this is a wrap top. It's a Simplicity pattern. The fabric is a poly woven from Hobby Lobby. And I like this because, see on the shoulders, there are little tucks, which helps with shaping. No gaping at all in the sleeves. It's got an asymmetrical look, which gives it some interest. And it went together easily and well. I think one of the reasons I really like this is the fabric. Even though it's a very inexpensive fabric, it doesn't crease, and when you wear this on a hot day in the summer, you wind up looking crisp at the end of the day, just as much as you did at the beginning of the day. I think this is technically a 2019 make. This is a Simplicity vest pattern, and the fabric is a quilted velvet from Joanne. The lining is a rayon from Top Stitch. I interlined it. I wear this all the time. I love this vest, especially because of the fabric and the color. It's just so rich, and it's washable. I've worn this a ton. I can wear it over black. I can wear it over different colors. I don't care if the interlining doesn't match the print of my top, but super make. This was the second time I'd used this pattern. The first time I used a buffalo plaid, but it's a great pattern. And probably my final and favorite make is the Maven Patterns French Start Shift Dress, which I really love. The fabric, the combination of the fabric and the pattern are just perfect. But this fabric is really something because it's so comfy. And the dress went together really well. It's a style that's timeless. And I know I will make another one of these. It's just finding the right fabric. I think that's the big thing. This could be pretty underwhelming in the wrong fabric. but this just made it a really special dress, and I'm so glad that I made it. Failures for the year. Well, I made a pair of Jolly Eleanor jeans and didn't wear them once because they just absolutely did not fit. There are several things that were out the door pretty quickly. None really worth mentioning, but the lessons that I learned, it's all about fitting and finding really good fabric. Those Eleanor jeans, one of the reasons why I got rid of them is because I used a very inexpensive stretch twill and they just looked awful and the color was bad. You know, it was the combination of a light stretch fabric over thighs, and sometimes that just shows too much. That's enough said. But I don't think I generally really had any failures this year except for that particular project. So that's my look back on 2019, and in the next couple of days, I'll lay out my plans for 2020. Thank you so much for watching, and have a happy and safe New Year's Eve, and all the best for 2020.